This is Cricbuzz Chatto with Adam Collins and Michael Vaughan. Stumps on the first day of the Test series between England and Pakistan at Old Trafford. Pakistan won the toss, batted, and were rewarded for a bold call, Vaughanie. It was cloudy this morning. There was going to be weather interruptions. Azhar has got a number of fast bowlers at his disposal, but he made the tough call and he's been rewarded for it.
Yeah, you go back a week ago where the West Indies, Jason Holder won the toss with two off-spinners in his side and he decided to bowl. So maybe Azhar had kind of learnt the lesson from what the West Indies did do, but full credit to him. As you said, it was gloomy conditions. There was always going to be a hint of movement, but I thought the tone was set by Shan, Masood and Abid Ali. I thought they played with great control. They ran between the wickets, just nicking the singles, real positive intent. In those conditions, you're not going to be crashing it to the boundary. You're not going to get too many gifts from Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad. But I thought that opening 40 minutes of play was crucial for the Pakistanis because you could quite easily lose three in those first initial overs against that quality. But they hung in there. They played the ball late. You only have to look down and you see Yunus Khan, the batting coach, and you just know that he'd have drilled all the Pakistan players in knowing exactly how to play in these conditions. I have to say they look a professional outfit. I've been watching them in the warm-ups. You just see the way that Misbah is communicating. You've got Waqar Younis, Mushtaq Ahmed, Yunus Khan also. They have a quality backroom team and they're a young, fit, athletic team. They look the real deal, Pakistan.
There are always going to be early casualties, and Jofra Archer into the book almost the moment he came into the attack with an absolute snorter. Chris Woakes picked up the captain for nothing, lost review there in the process. But as far as the way that Babar Azam, who is a genuine superstar of the game, taking his game to the next level, and Shan Masood, they've added an unbeaten 96 by the close of play. Pakistan 139 for 2, a long rain delay in there as well. But they needed to stem the flow of wickets and they needed to start again, and they did it magnificently either side of lunch.
Yeah, it was high class. I mean, Chris Woakes produced a wonderful spell, as you mentioned. He got rid of the skipper, and then the big player Babar Azam strolled out there. He played and missed it 2 or 3 of his first 4 or 5, and you think, wait a minute, can he play the moving ball? And then all of a sudden he just started to get his form, his balance. He punched one down the ground. He played a beautiful bat foot punch off Jimmy Anderson. We saw that glorious cover drive that he's got, and then he danced down and whacked one over mid wicket. He looks, you talk about the big four, and I keep hearing this big four in Virat Kohli, Kane Williamson, Steve Smith, Joe Root. They kind of mentioned in that top 4. Not too sure about that at this stage. I reckon Babar Azam's almost shifted Joe Root out the way as we speak because of his record of late. He's averaging over 65 in the last 18 months in Test match cricket. No one's averaging higher than him. When you think Marnus Labuschagne of what he's done, Steve Smith what he's done, well, Babar Azam is top of that average tree, and I can only see him improving and getting better and better. We saw Steve Smith do to England what one man's never ever done in my time, just play a series on his own out in the middle to win Australia the Ashes. I've got a funny feeling if England don't work a way of bowling to Babar Azam, we could see a similar thing happening over the course of the 3 Test matches, because you only need in England one of your batsmen to go big, once a Test match, and it could be that Babar Azam does that. There was one little chink that I saw today that I think England can target, and that was a short stuff into the armpit. Jofra Archer got a couple short and he didn't play the pull shot great. Maybe that was the only chink that I saw that England could really target with him going forward throughout the Test series, but he's a high-class player.
Yeah, I mentioned the long rain delay which they came back from. Had to start again, albeit briefly, and I wanted to ask you about Jofra Archer's over. So they set 3 men out for the catch on the leg side, a short leg, a leg gully as well. Archer bowls 3 rapid bounces, and they're told immediately by the umpires, don't continue with that attack. How did you see that strategically in terms of almost telegraphing their punch, which gave the umpires the imprimatur to say, stop bowling fast?
Yeah, I mean, I thought England would go to that tactic purely because the pitch-up tactic had not been working. The short stuff worked against the West Indies. We saw Ben Stokes, saw Stuart Broad produce some wonderful short stuff against the West Indies, and it worked on this venue. So it did surprise me. What surprised me that Joe Root decided to carry on with his off-spinners, because you know that Pakistan like to face the off-spinner, but it nearly worked because the one thing that's you'd say about today, it's been a bit of a slow news day. We'll be talking about the light, about the weather. Should they have played more? Of course they should, but Josh Buttler missing a drop catch, and obviously that stumping towards the end of a day's play. There's been so many questions about Josh Buttler's position in the team, and it's been mainly about his batting and not scoring enough runs. Well, he scored runs in the last Test, and his keeping's kind of gone under the radar. Well, today it's back on the radar because he's missed two quite, I wouldn't say the simple catches, they never are, but the catches and stumpings that he would expect to have taken.
Yeah, it was a bad day to have a bad day in the case of Buttler. That stumping he missed just before the close, it turned a long way and bounced a lot, so it actually clipped him on the shoulder, but nonetheless a chance just before the end of play. They only came back for 8 overs. So in the hot spot today, Vaughnie, let's look at Shan Masood. You mentioned him before, but that patience, he's faced more than 150 deliveries. There was a stat out there on Twitter saying that no opener has come to England from a visiting side and faced more than 100 balls for 5 years. I mean, he's done more than half of that again. He's got a terrible record against Jimmy Anderson, but what patience and what control in this kind of rebirth of the left-hander's career.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost doing what we've seen Dom Sibley do for England, just nullifying the attack of the opposing team, playing an attritional way, waiting for one on the hip. He plays a nice cut shot as well. It looks like he's struggling against the off spinner. Don Best bowled a beautiful pace to him and should have had him twice, but you know, it's exactly the style of opener that you require in any conditions, never mind English conditions. And you know, when you start a series nicely, you know, he'll sleep tonight, he'll expect to come out and try and get the big score. If you get 100 in these conditions against the likes of Broad and Anderson, you know you're playing very well indeed. So it's the perfect fall. I have to say, it's bright. Why we're not playing out there, I'll never know. It's my biggest frustration of the 4 test matches so far that we've seen. 3 against the West Indies, 1 against Pakistan. The game and the ECB has paid a fortune to get the game of cricket played in these uncertain times, and yet once again we've been off a bad light. So there's my little grunt for the day. But Shan Masood, very, very good.
We have to find a solution to that. And pressing fast forward, Vaughnie, thinking back to your own playing career, that 2002-2003 Ashes series, you got a big score in the second test match early in the series, and it really set you up. I'm thinking about Babar Azam. You've already talked about the comparison to Stephen Smith last year, but how crucial will it be if he can go on and post 3 figures tomorrow? He was so classy today with his footwork. How big a difference could this have in the entire series?
Well, he could win in the test match this week. You know, if he goes to get 150, you know, you only have to look at the record here at Old Trafford. The last 5 teams to win it have been batting first. Generally over 300 is a real challenge. We've seen spin already on day 1. Pakistan with the 2 leg spinners, Naseem Shah, Shaheen Shah Afridi, Mohammad Abbas. They're a wonderful attack, and if Babar Azam gets the 150, I think it's going to go a long way to Pakistan going 1-0 up in a series. And we've seen at the Azhar Bowl over the last week against Ireland in the one days that there's plenty of spin down there also. So the pitch down at Southampton might suit the style of attack Pakistan have. So this is going to be a real challenging series for England.
Pakistan deservedly take the honours, losing just 2 wickets on the first day at Old Trafford. Make sure you follow the whole of day 2 on the Cricbuzz live blog, and then we'll be back at Stumps. Adam Collins and Michael Vaughan on Cricbuzz Chatter.